And we are back with another edition of How About Them Celtics Talking C's with Bobby Kravitsky of SI Media Group. Bobby, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed the conference championships in the NFL playoffs. Hope those who put some money on that were able to reap the profits. And now we continue with quite a compelling 7-game home stretch for the Celtics.
Bobby, you're talking to a Lions better. I'm so sad.
It was right there for you, Jack.
I had a few. I put a future on them before the playoffs to win the Super Bowl. I'm like, you know what?
That's
Put money,
electric.
put it on
Should have
here.
hedged.
Hell no, I'm not cashing out. I'm all in. I was all in on Detroit, Sam. You should know of anybody. Although now that I'm looking at my FanDuel account, I won something because I definitely didn't have so much money in my account last night. I have no idea what bet I won.
In the first half, there were definitely some people on the Niners that thought America's team was going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, apparently I won. Apparently I put a bet on. I was trying to make the game interesting. I put a bet on any quarter to end in Lions 1, 49ers 4. I put 10 to win 180, and apparently that hit. So we're cooking something today. We cooked something in that game.
I saw someone who put $2 and change on a 6 touchdown parlay, and it didn't cash, but it would have netted out to over $5,000 for $2 and change.
I needed how many passing yards does Pat Mahomes end with? Because I needed 245, and I literally every other thing in that parlay hit, and I was sad. And Sam, for what it's worth, I did hedge the lines. I took them plus 7.5 as well, so I was okay. And they covered.
That's a sharp right there.
Yeah, they're fine. They covered that at the very least. I was gonna take Niners because the Niners were plus money at some point at the end of at halftime or something. But I was like, you know what? No, the Lions. I think they keep this close at the very least. And so
you know what I cleaned up on? You could get Deebo Samuel 20 snaps at plus money.
What?
Is a layup. Sometimes they put a free space on the bingo card to keep you coming back.
Love that. Anyways, sorry we spent the first 2 minutes talking about football. This is the Celtics podcast. Okay. Certainly not a Knicks podcast. Sorry, Andrew, although I did see your comment today. Good job. Anyways, we're going to talk a little bit about the offense without Kristaps Porzingis. It was very evident in the Heat Clippers game. Sam and I just did a video on it. I know I was talking to Bobby about it after the Clippers game because it's truly night and day what they do on offense with and without KP. He is such a huge part of the way the Celtics run their offense this year that when he's out of the game, I said this to Sam last night, Bobby, effectively they have the same personnel as they did last year and they run the offense like it. You just insert Drew Holiday instead of Marcus Smart. And obviously he's a better offensive player, I would say, than Marcus Smart. However, it's just a lot of isolation, a lot of one pass, then do something and figure it out. With Kristaps on the floor, you have that release valve. You have somebody in the middle of the floor who can catch the ball and make a play. You have somebody who can space the floor behind the three-point line a little bit more effectively. And so you really miss that without KP. What are some of the differences you notice, and how important is it, in your opinion, that they figure out ways to score without KP in the game?
So this became the focal point of my game story from Saturday night against the Clippers, where it is a concern how different the offense looks and how vulnerable this team is without him on the floor. And that's why, on top of the fact that they need to rest him and be cautious with his recovery now, I want to see a stretch of games where they get to build on this and have more reps. Now, one of the concerns, and we might see it tonight, is that the Celtics would very obviously like to conceal what it looks like when Tatum's at the 5. That's something I think they just want to trot out selectively in the playoffs. It's not something they're going to use for a stretch in every single game, for instance. They're going to pick and choose their spots quite diligently. But look, there's 3 centers on the injury report tonight. They might have to. It's what pulled it out against Orlando in that first half of the home series, and they ran the Magic off the floor with it. And so I think we see that tonight. I think that lineup also looked just okay, and like it clearly needs some fine tuning when they tried it against the Mavericks recently. So I do think they'll go back to it, even though it's not their preference right now. When it comes to it, though, there were a lot of good looks that didn't go down. And I wholeheartedly understand that. And why would you stray from threes given the math? Got it on board. That said, there does need to be more diversity in the offense. And so some of the things I noticed and noted in the article is what was missing, what wasn't there. Let's forget about the process that worked but didn't lead to good results. What can we do to fine tune this? And for me, not nearly enough cutting. There was not much activity away from the ball. That's one. And two, when Tatum came off of high ball screens, of course, the Clippers, and they just happen to execute it better than a lot of teams do, given their personnel, they're showing multiple bodies. They're packing the paint. They're stunting and swiping, and they're congesting every path Tatum has to get going downhill. And so that's a huge problem for the Celtics. The counter, relocate him, get him the ball in the post. One of their best plays in the first half was very simple. Get it to him, extend it on the baseline, and he spins away from the double team for 2 points at the rim. And so basically what I'm saying here is we can't just look at it and say, well, they created, I'll make up a number, 10 good threes and they didn't go down. So what are you going to do? You just live with bad results. No, that's how you lose a game, which could be the difference in a playoff series, especially if it's on your home floor and it swings that advantage. And so that's why I'd like to see them start to incorporate more consistently. And in some cases, it's missing entirely these different mechanisms and wrinkles to continue to raise the floor when threes aren't falling and give themselves a more sustainable functioning offense when Porzingis isn't available.
Yeah, I'm in. Bobby's got me in. I mean, I've been in before Bobby made the pitch, but I truly think that the Celtics can be much, much better as a whole if they're not solely relying on threes. And I know that's not what we always talk about, but there is a aspect of the team in the game plan that goes, we'll create open threes and we'll go from there. Having weapons like Porzingis, like Tatum, make it so much easier for you to work out of the post. And Bobby talking about Tatum at the 5, it should just look like Porzingis because Tatum can do all the things Porzingis can do, but way better. He can serve as a roll or pop man in a pick and pop or pick and roll. He can catch and shoot from 3. It's the best way of him shooting threes ever. It should always happen. He's really great at making decisions from the nail. He's good at catching and rolling to the basket, and he always finds his teammates when the defense has to overhelp on him. He's not 7'4", but he has a game that makes him that big because defenses have to commit to him. We've seen him get much, much better at being a playmaker for his team and helping his teammates be better over the years. Use it. And I think him being at the 5 is a perfect way to do that. I agree and think it's a good idea to kind of keep that one in your back pocket. But with all of the big guys on the injury report today, you may see a little bit of it. It's fun to think about for sure. And it's a great weapon to have.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what Bobby said about Tatum is true. Like, teams are really focusing in on him and trying to keep him out of the paint. You saw it a lot in the Nuggets game. You saw it a lot in the the Clippers game. They did a great job of cutting off passing lanes and sending extra bodies on the drive. And so I think for that reason, they made it really difficult on the Celtics to find Tatum, who was realistically the only good offensive player in that game. And they sort of shut him down and he wasn't able to find that rhythm. But like you mentioned, Sam, and like you also talked about, Bobby, a couple bigs out today. We might have the Neemias Queta series here coming up against the Pelicans and the Pacers.
I mean, what the hell, Jack?
Had that ready to go in the holster.
Neemias Queta joins the show.
Kluka did. Luke Cornett, Porzingis, and Al Horford on the injury report. Some of them could play, some are doubtful. But it does mean we'll probably end up seeing Queta against this Pelicans team tonight as you guys are listening to this, and maybe even tomorrow against the Pacers, in which, breaking news, Tyrese Halliburton might be coming back to play in. What are you looking for in this back-to-back, Bobby, against the Pels and the Pacers?
So I think all 3 centers will not play tonight. It's possible that Al Horford's out there for this one because Cornett legitimately got hurt with the hamstring and he was trying to get off the floor and play wasn't stopping and Joe wasn't saying, hey, someone foul to get a whistle going here so we can sub my man out. So I don't think Cornett with the hamstring strain is going to be active. Horford, we know how they approach back-to-backs, so I don't think the initial call, at least, would be for him to play, but they've shuffled it before. And Porzingis, it's a positive sign for his progress that he's questionable, whereas initially he was doubtful for the Clippers game before getting downgraded to inactive. But I lean towards Horford doesn't play. Again, maybe the other 2 guys being out changes that. And as far as what I want to see, I mean, this is a Pelicans team. I love watching them, and they're so well balanced They're deep. Point Zion is absolutely electric and really difficult for teams to stop because he's just the gravity that he commands when you don't have a legitimate center out there, that's a problem. So how the Celtics and Joe Mazzulla try and counter a team that, by the way, they ran the slower footed Magic off the floor with Tatum at the 5. The Pelicans, I don't know if they can entirely keep up because does CJ McCollum make a difference in transition? For example, what is Zion exerting in that capacity? Who knows? But it's a well-built team when you start bringing in the Herb Joneses of the world, for example. And if Zion's committed to it and Ingram, this is a team that challenges you in so many different ways. So how the Celtics look to create advantages, and maybe there is some target Zion defensively to wear him down. That doesn't mean you have to try and score over around him, but just keep him involved in the actions. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a part of the calculus tonight.
My favorite part of the whole take there is Zion's gravity. Of course, he's going to have more gravity. It's like planets. When you get bigger, you have more gravity, New Orleans
well, he's
is
losing
like one of those...
gravity in that case then.
Is he? I'll believe it when I see it.
Is he not Slim Z this year?
No, he's still Fat Zion, if you ask me.
He's lost some weight. I think there's a reason he's out there more.
He's slimmed down
because
a bit.
They said we're not going to pay you.
He's now at like a slender 275.
Yes, does that exist?
The only one who can legitimately say he's big boned.
He's big boned. I do like this Pelicans team, and they're one of those teams that I'm like, are they going to do something ahead of the February deadline to separate themselves from some of the other middling teams in the West? Because they're right there. They're 7th right now. They're 26-20. And there's this bunch of teams just right in the middle of the West, hanging around that play-in spot. Could they go out, make some sort of move? As for who you're going to see tonight, you've got everybody mostly healthy. Everybody has played the majority of the last 5 games. Right now, you're seeing a lot of great basketball from Brandon Ingram, who's someone we don't always talk about from a national standpoint, despite him being a driving force behind a Pelicans team that last season was top of the West when everyone was healthy, Zion being a big part of that. This year, they've actually had an opportunity for everyone to play well, and they're doing okay. So I'm excited to see him and Tatum match up tonight. He's been really shooting well over the last couple games from 3. Zion has been back in the lineup, like you mentioned. He's shooting almost 60% from the field in the last stretch of games for them, and CJ does a great job of being the connector for this team. So it should be a good matchup. Also, Ingram distributing the ball really well over the last couple games. 7.5 assists over the last 5. Pretty crazy stat jumping off the stat sheet.
There you go. Yeah, this Pelicans team should be interesting. They're sneaky good. I feel like no one talks about them, but they're like a solid playoff team out west. Pacers also good. Got their first win in the Siakam era, I believe, the other day. Still with no Halliburton, but they're figuring it out, man. They got talent on the team. That team will be fine. They'll figure it out eventually. But test for the Celtics here on the back-to-back, trying to avoid I believe they've only lost 2 games in a row once this season. And it was very early, Timberwolves Sixers. Since then, it's been a loss here and there, and they've figured it out past that. But big test tonight as we're recording this, and tomorrow as well for them. Last Celtics thing is, unfortunately, speaking of the Timberwolves and the Sixers, Celtics not very good against the top 3 teams in each conference this year. I believe the record is 6-7, although I can fact check that. Do you make anything of that, Bobby, or is it just a matter of sometimes they're fully healthy? They're good teams for a reason. Like, what are you looking at in that capacity?
No, the one that I put stock in the most is the Nuggets loss, because to me, that one, I look at 2 teams that didn't shoot well from beyond the arc, but Denver found ways to win and just made the few plays that made the difference in the outcome. And the Celtics, they had some wins on the margins, but ultimately it wasn't enough. So there's some where you can say, look who was inactive, look at it as a scheduled loss, this and that. But like the Clippers one, I put stock in the Porzingis element of it and how the offense looked without him. But losing to Los Angeles on a Saturday night after they just got back from Miami, I don't put a ton of stock in the actual outcome as opposed to things that happened within the game. But that Nuggets one to me is what I invest the most energy in. Okay, this is the one that probably is the most lessons to apply to the playoffs.
There's also a few of them sprinkled in there where they didn't have everybody. Like Derek White missed the Timberwolves game. Porzingis missed. Which game was it? Help me out, please. I don't remember exactly. I mean, they had a bunch of guys out. The Clippers game, the one we just watched. They had a bunch of guys not play well in Milwaukee. It was a back-to-back. Like, you can go in and find little elements of those games and make an excuse. But I agree with Bobby. I think the Nuggets game was the one that it was like the most frustrating. You felt like they were there and they couldn't get it done in the clutch. They couldn't find an alternative to the threes. And those are things come playoff time you're going to need to be able to do against teams at the level of Denver at home. It's a tough look when you can't get yourself over the hump. The one that is the most impressive is the Minnesota win. They did it without Porzingis. It was a Tatum takeover game. And contrary to the Clippers game, they found a way, and it was Tatum. It was Tatum in the Clippers game. They just said, that's enough of you.
Yeah, I think, listen, I think they should obviously be better against the best teams. That is the mark of a good team. However, I do think a part of it is just they're good teams for a reason. Like it's not like these are cakewalks. And to their credit, they've gotten blown out in two of them. Yes, the Bucks Clippers games were rough, but for the most part, it's not like they're getting destroyed by these top teams. They're
and
just
they whomped the Clippers.
Exactly, and they also
Clippers didn't have Kawhi, to be fair.
They've also taken it to some good teams as well. I mean, the Heat aren't an amazing team, but they beat them by what, 30 something, right? Like I'm not too concerned with the bad record against good teams. I think, like Bobby said, the concerning parts to me is when you crumble in those big games that are close, right? Like the Nuggets game was tough to watch. Even the Timberwolves way earlier in the season. Like, I think those are more concerning. My dentist actually, he's a Celtics fan. He knows what I do. He asked me today, he goes, what's up with these back-to-back losses? And I didn't correct him and say that I haven't actually lost back-to-back losses.
He's working on your teeth. Be careful.
I know. But I was like, listen, the Clippers game doesn't worry me as much because as much as you can say they played bad on offense, like sometimes you just get blown out is what it is. Like Bobby, I was pointing out to Sam when we were talking about it, like the 73-9 Warriors, half of their losses were by 15 or more. Like sometimes it just happens, right? However, it's the Nuggets game, right, where there's no offense down the stretch. You can't pull out those late games. So the overall record doesn't get to me or bother me as much as like you got to execute better against these top teams. And to Denver's credit, like they won last year for a reason. They're a damn good team. So there's that. But anyways, Bobby, any final thoughts? Anything else you want to cover before we get to some trivia?
No, let's get to trivia.
Fire. Let me pull up the sheets so I can put up the scoreboard. What is the series at? I think it's 2-1 Bobby right now.
2-1.
Yeah.
I made a recovery last time as we went deep into the show. 50 minutes of just Bobby and I sitting here melting, trying to think of guys who
there was a lot of dead air that needed filling.
2020 games.
That was a marathon game. That was 6 overtimes right there.
That was the Red Sox Dodgers World Series game where Evaldi essentially came in for a start.
I'm gonna have to keep y'all on a timer this time, a little bit better. Also,
he's got that Jeopardy buzzer ready to go.
Me and my buddy's group chat is currently naming random athletes right now, and I figured you guys would appreciate it. We've gone through Al-Farouq Aminu, Dragon
Celtics
Bender,
legend Al-Farouq Aminu.
Yeah. Dragon Bender, Julio Lugo. I dropped Chuck Hayes in the chat, Jose Reyes, Coco Crisp. We're crossing the boundaries of sports here. So in case you're curious. Anyways, trivia for today. Now there are 7 Celtics players on this list, so we will have a winner coming off this card if you get the ball. Through the 2021-22 season, 7 different Celtics have posted a triple-double 10 or more times. So I need the 7 Celtics with 10 or more triple-doubles. I don't have confirmation on this, but I assume it means in a Celtics uniform. So keep that in consideration. I think Sam starts this time because he won last.
He does. He won.
Sam, hit me.
Larry Bird.
Correct. Bobby, back to you.
I want to get something that like is a death blow to him, but it's not going to be. I'll go Paul Pierce.
Correct. Sam?
Rondo.
That's correct. Back to you, Bobby. We're cooking.
Bill Russell.
Correct. Sam, back to you. Can put
Dave
the pressure
Cowens.
on here. No Dave Cowens on the board. Bobby, chance, dagger here. A knife to the heart. We got three more on the list, yeah.
I will go Havlicek.
Correct. Sam, Need the response here.
Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anyone that would be like a sneaky triple-double guy. You said 21-22?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Tatum's on there yet.
I will say.
Don't say anything.
I was just going to. I know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying these are all gettable names.
They're all gettable ones?
They're all gettable names.
Tommy.
No. Sorry.
Oof.
Bobby. This is to seal it if you get this here. Tough. 2 names left on the board.
I will go Kevin McHale.
No Kevin McHale. Sam can tie it up again here. I'll start giving clues after this round. But I will let y'all keep
cooking. You said gettable names.
Gettable names.
I'm going to guess Antoine Walker.
Yes.
I wanted that. I had it.
Huge.
That was my backup. Should have been above McHale. That's sloppy.
That's big time. 1 name left on the board. Bobby, to you. As I sip on my Chick-fil-A sweet tea. Don't worry about it.
I mean,
I have a.
How are we not sponsored by Chick-fil-A yet? I mean,
someone let me know. Big fan. Chicken sandwich.
This is going to lead to a devastating loss, but I will go with Sam Jones.
No Sam Jones. Sam, to close it.
What do you mean? You said you're going to give hints. I finally get the first crack at it. I'm taking advantage of it.
Oh, this is to start a round, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guessed one last round, so I was going to wait another one since you just got it. But we'll rock it.
No, that's not how it works.
I don't want to give it away too much. Hall of Famer. I think that's.
I'm going to guess Bob Cousy. That was my.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think he had it. I didn't think Cousy would get whatever it is, rebounds or steals.
Wow.
I had a weird remembrance of Cousy just being on the triple-double list and being that's really weird that he has 19. A lot of them.
He's 19.
What a comeback.
Is it with rebounds? Do we know? We don't have that.
Yeah, all of them were with rebounds and assists because they didn't track blocks and steals when he was playing. So, yeah. 6-1 getting.
I'm going to go cry.
Rebounds.
You will not see me at tonight's
That's
game
huge.
anymore.
Big time. Series tie.
2-2 in the series.
Great series we got cooking.
That was Celtics Warriors game 4.
Oh no.
That's not nice.
Sam starts crying.
That's just my ultimate PTSD.
Bobby, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
Absolutely not.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it very much. Make sure to subscribe to How About Them Celtics. Check out Bobby's work at si.com/Celtics inside the Celtics. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll let Sam wrap it up.
Yes, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more Talking C's. They're coming out Monday, Wednesday, Friday for you. We're also doing full pods that come out Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Those are available on YouTube and on Spotify. We're also putting game recaps on both channels. So if you're on Apple and Spotify, you'll get the audio versions. Follow us there. Leave a 5-star review. You can also find us via email. When we record the full-length pods, we go through your emails. hbtcpod@gmail.com is the address. So send us your thoughts there. We always love to hear from you. You can find us on socials at How About Them C's. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Facebook is just the name of the podcast. On Facebook, you can find us live a half hour before every single game. Those streams are on Facebook and YouTube, and also on Twitter. Jack's Twitter is at JacksMonNBA. Bobby's Twitter is at Bobby Kravitsky. And mine is at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on. Taco's